It has been over 100 years since Alzheimer first described Alzheimer's disease, and we've spent an enormous amount of time and energy studying Alzheimer's disease, but we still don't understand the molecular basis of this disease. Over 400 human clinical trials have failed, but we've cured Alzheimer's in mice. This is the paradigm that we need to change. My name is Dr. Charu Chandrasekhar, and I'm the founder and executive director of the Canadian Centre for Alternatives to Animal Methods and its subsidiary, Canadian Centre for the Validation of Alternative Methods, located at the University of Windsor. Our centre is the first of its kind in Canada. The overarching vision of the Canadian Centre for Alternatives to Animal Methods is to promote the replacement of animals in Canadian biomedical research, education, and regulatory testing through 21st century science, innovation, and ethics. Despite decades of extensive research conducted at enormous expense, the rate of congruence between animal models and the human condition is at an all-time low. 95% of drugs that have been tested to be safe and effective in animals fail in human clinical trials. There are tens of thousands of chemicals on the Canadian market and hundreds more being introduced every year. But it is difficult to evaluate the safety for Canadians and our natural heritage because the legacy animal-based tests are not reliable, they're not predictive and human relevant.
Toxicology testing has traditionally relied on the use of animal models, but there's many shortcomings to using animals for testing. Using alternative methods such as in vitro cell cultures or cell-free methods not only is more economic, but also relies on the most current understanding of molecular biology. This collaboration will improve our ability to provide Canadians with the most reliable and current science-based information.
In the second decade of the 21st century, it is paradoxical that we know more about animal biology than human biology. If the ultimate goal of the scientific community is to advance human medicine and safety testing, then Homo sapiens, our species, must serve as the quintessential animal model.
It's been now almost 10 years since the US National Academies of Science released its groundbreaking report, Toxicity Testing in the 21st Century, a Vision and a Strategy. The strategy set out a future that looked at using predominantly human cells in culture and moving away from animal models. In the 10 years that's followed, global science has moved a significant way in terms of being able to advance methods that replace animal testing, but there's still some significant work to be done. And so we see the Centre as offering to Canada some significant value in partnering with other governments and other centres worldwide to advance the science that underpins alternatives to animal testing.
The overarching goal of our research initiative is to make humans the gold standard, humans the quintessential animal model. The human genome was completed 15 years ago. We have a tremendous amount of information at our disposal, so we want to make use of all this human-centered knowledge to build human-based platforms, disease in a dish and toxicity on a chip, to mimic human physiology in vitro. Promising new technologies are already improving the reliability, reproducibility, and the human relevance of biomedical research and chemical safety assessment. These human-centered methodologies are poised to not only replace outdated animal testing, but to outperform them. We're developing academic programs in animal replacement science to train the next generation of scientists, ethicists, and policymakers to think outside the cage.
So we see the Centre as being particularly important for Canada based on the 3 pillars it has in its strategic plan. In terms of its research pillar, we see this Centre as being important as a convening focal point for researchers across Canada in all different sectors, from industry, from government, and from academia. On the regulatory pillar, we see the Centre as being a source of expertise and collaborative opportunities to validate methods that are used for regulatory testing. And in terms of the academic pillar, we see this as a source of well-trained students that could enter into the marketplace, the workplace, government, industry, and academia for the future in terms of their scientific skills.
It's a very exciting time in human-based testing. We're still in its infancy. It's just started. The use of these new human-based technologies are going to revolutionize the testing and the application of clinical trials as well as new drugs. The curriculum is going to be based on a series of courses that focus on these new research strategies. It's extremely important that we as a university teach students, both undergraduate and graduate students, about these new technologies and how they're going to impact the field of toxicological testing, but also clinical trials as well.
The University of Windsor is proud to host CCAAM because it is an opportunity for the University of Windsor to become a global player in reducing the use of animals in research methods.
The Alternative Centre is a watershed moment in human-centred biomedical research in Canada, and I'm particularly excited about the academic program that is going to train the next generation of scientists, academics, as well as health professionals in alternatives. And the University of Windsor and the Faculty of Science are proud to be sponsoring and in fact supporting this program to make sure that we are providing this to the next generation.
Through this unprecedented initiative, we're paving the way for the next generation to have access to safe and effective medications and the platforms to do biomedical research and chemical safety testing with the highest ethical standards. Every Canadian now has the power and the opportunity to contribute to that legacy.